You are not a bad manifester, and you really can have anything you want, from money to career to your person. Your refusal to believe that it is already yours is literally the only thing holding you back. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not actively refusing to believe it. I can just see I don't have it. I can hear I don't have it. What gives? And trust me, I've been there, so I know exactly what that feels like, which is why this video is going to be helping you understand this concept and giving you a few practical things that you can put into practice to ensure that you are no longer refusing to believe it, but in fact allowing yourself to believe that it is already yours. So if that's what you feel like you need today, drop me a like, drop me a comment, watch all the way through so you don't miss out on any valuable information, and let's get started. So I remember the days of old when I first got into manifestation, and like yourself, I heard all those statements. Assume it is done. The universe is working in your favor. Believe ye have received it and ye shall receive it. And all those statements. And I thought, wonderful. I'll affirm 20 times, think like shit, but the universe is working in my favor. Did it? Of course not, because there's more to it, i.e. your dominant state of consciousness. So with a lot of trial and error, a lot of researching, reading all 14 of Neville's books, reading Florence Scovel Shinn's books, reading Joseph Murphy's books, reading The Map of Consciousness, and so on, the thing that stood out across all of them, and yes, they all use their own terminologies, but the thing that stood out is that this creative power that we have does not hold its own opinion. It stores information we fed it, yes, but it does not hold its own opinion. And what this means, as far as what this video is trying to detail, is that essentially, the second you start feeding it new information, it starts absorbing that information and taking it in as truth. Yes, some things may take a little longer depending on you falling back into old patterns, depending on doubts and fears and so on. But the impression upon this creative power is always happening when you're feeding it that new information. It's always taking it in. It can never sit there and say, no, that's not true. You may have some conscious mind resistance. Yes, absolutely. But the subconscious mind, the creative aspect, is literally just a sponge absorbing anything that you are feeding it. So when I say, or when any coach, book, whatever says, your refusal to believe it is true is the only thing holding you back, it's because this creative power can only go off of what you are feeding it. If from this second and onward, from this moment onward, you only thought things, felt things, and acted upon things in accordance to having your desire, nothing would stop it. Because the creative power inside you is taking in that you have it and nothing of the contrary. I.e., it has to push out that because that's what you are feeding it. So this statement of your refusal to believe it is true simply is stating, because you keep entertaining thought, feeling, consciousness of not having it, the creative power internally is being fed that, which is what creates the reality where you don't have it. It doesn't see the external. It doesn't hear the whispers of others. It doesn't understand anything other than what you are feeding it, what you allow into consciousness, what you assume to be true. So, because of this factor, because it is basically every moment a blank slate, if you paint something on it that is undesired through thought, feeling, and consciousness, you'll get undesired. If you paint something on it that is desired through thought, feeling, and consciousness of already having that thing, you will get that thing. So when we say your refusal to believe it's true, we don't mean you're quite literally sitting there going, no, I'm not going to have it, like some child. We're saying you're still entertaining the possibility of not having it. You're still entertaining any thought, feeling, and consciousness that resides within a space of not having it. The urges to text, the doubts, the fears, and so on. If every moment is a blank slate as far as impressing upon the subconscious mind, it stands to reason you should use each blank slate to paint the most perfect and beautiful picture. That's what we mean when we say your refusal to believe it is true. Not that you're being some spoilt brat, but that you're still entertaining anything that states you do not have it. Therefore, practicalities, what can you do? Well, while this creative power inside you does exist, we also have to understand that there is always going to be a part of you linked to this 3D reality, the human ego. And this is why spiritual teachers, whether yogis, monks, or anything else, spend basically their entire lives becoming egoless, engaging in ego death. Because the less ego, the less 3D involvement, the easier it is for you to simply just create. But of course, the average person, you and I, we haven't got the time to be sitting in the wonderful Himalayan mountains meditating all day. We have to work with what we've got. And therefore, this is why I always preach that self-regulation. I stand by, based on working with so many people, based on the comment section, based on the fact that there are simply just hundreds of really great coaches on YouTube, I stand by the fact that many of you have the right creative process. I genuinely believe that the vast majority of you are affirming the right things. You're doing more than enough work. That side really isn't the problem. It's the going back to the old states. It's the letting the thoughts win, letting the doubts win, letting the anxieties win that is tripping you up. And that is why, like I say, we work with what we've got, self-regulation. I've always also stood by the fact that it isn't what comes up that matters, it's where you take it, and it's not residing within an end state, it's redirecting back to that end state. You will be in work mode 1 minute, mom or dad mode the next minute, tidying up the house the next minute, paying the bills the next minute. You're going to be constantly fluctuating states. So this ideology of residing within a state isn't exactly feasible from an entire day's perspective. That's why we're redirecting back to. And this is where the practicality comes in. Your creative work is great. You're painting good stuff on those slates when you're setting yourself those times to do so. But as you're going through your day, those thoughts are coming up, those doubts are coming up, those anxieties are coming up. That's what's tripping you up. So when you notice yourself dwelling in negative thoughts, feeling states of anxiety, anything that could contradict your manifestation, the idea that you have what you desire, stop in that moment. And if you've got a preferred regulating method, go with it. If you like EFT tapping, go with it. If you like breath work, go with it. But you're going to stop in that moment and you're going to engage in some form of regulating method. If you don't have one at the moment, or if you want one that I recommend, always breath work. And what I would typically recommend is a 4-second inhale, 2-second hold, 8-second exhale, as though you're breathing out of a straw. So at the end of the 8 seconds, 2-second hold, 4-second inhale, rinse and repeat until you feel better. Now, the reason why we state this is because anxieties, fears, panics, all that kind of stuff come from the ego essentially trying to keep you alive, keep you safe. The ego exists within the beta brainwave length, which is our get up and go mode, which is why when the ego is alive, when we're anxious, when we're all of these feelings, it can be hard to just redirect back to that end state. So by doing this breathwork method, or any other regulating method you may prefer, you are engaging the parasympathetic nervous system, which is associated with rest and digest, helping getting yourself into an alpha brainwave state, which is associated with relaxation, peace, comfort, and so on, where the ego is a lot more settled, the subconscious mind is a lot more receptive, making it so that once you've done that regulating method, you can then go, we're in a loving relationship with your affirmations, or visualize it, or script, or whatever it is that you're doing, redirecting back to that state, choosing to paint on that canvas something positive. Because essentially, anytime you think about your desire, you've just got yourself a new blank canvas. If you dwell in the negative, you decide to paint a big old dick in the middle of it. If you decide to think something positive, you've drawn the most beautiful art piece ever imagined, because your subconscious mind doesn't know anything else other than what you're feeding it. So your refusal to believe it is true is simply just a case of going back to, it's not here, I don't have it, in one form or another. I know many of you aren't consciously choosing that, but by allowing yourself to engage in the patterns that you do, you are choosing that. So do this. When you notice yourself thinking, feeling, or acting, or being aware, or whatever, of the undesired states, regulate alpha brainwave state, parasympathetic nervous system, replace with something new that favors your manifestation. And this is going to help you get into that dominant state, and this is what's going to help you manifest. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, drop me a like and a comment to let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to click that bell icon. If you need any one-to-one help to overcome the guesswork of YouTube content and actually tailoring it to your specific situation, I do have emails, video calls, and phone calls available, links down below. If that's not for you, but you want more from me, I do have memberships available with over 100 exclusive videos, free products, discounts on everything that I offer that isn't free, me affirming for you, and a 10-minute call each month. Or if you would like my courses, I have the full Manifest Your SP course, the full Creating a New Self-Concept course, and the full Anxiety course. Now, I just got a lovely comment that I'd like to share with you. Someone who has the Anxiety course emailed me literally yesterday, I think, stating that the course so far has already been more impactful for them, helping them understand their anxiety and overthinking than a year's worth of therapy, which is lovely for me. I may even put it in a little screenshot if I remember to do it, which is really lovely for me to hear. So definitely go check that out. But if you would like all of what I've just offered and more, there is the Academy available. People in there are kicking ass, so make sure that you join. But thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.